Footy.
Welcome along to Friday Night Football. Triple M rocking it as usual. The Giants taking on the Western Bulldogs. Always a lot of interest in this one. We have got all sorts lined up, a lot to get through. We've got guests galore, including Das, with what is going to be a quite extraordinary interview with Rowan Smith, the likes of which you have never heard before.
That's what I do, Howie. I bring big guests to the table and I go places that other people won't go. And I will tonight again.
I'm looking forward to that. Plenty more guests to come. We'll get to later on in the show. Chief's got everything required. Nathan is bringing the top five. The boys are all here, but before we get into our usual frivolity demo, we need to get some serious news out of the way. What's happening in West Australia?
We do, because the Perth and Peel regions of WA have been placed into a 3-day lockdown as of midnight tonight due to, Brownie, 2 cases of community transition of COVID-19. Now, the effect on the AFL is this. Saturday night's Fremantle-North Melbourne game at Optus Stadium will go ahead without a crowd, and that's in contrast to the 100% capacity that was in play for the Collingwood-West Coast game only last round. So, no crowd tomorrow night for Fremantle North Melbourne, but game will go ahead. West Coast is in Melbourne for this Geelong match tomorrow at GMHBA Stadium. That game will go ahead with full crowd. The AFL will make decisions on the travel of North Melbourne back from Perth at some stage of the next 24 hours, as they will, with the West Coast team needing to get back to Perth after that Geelong game tomorrow night. The travel arrangements for those 2 teams to be determined by the AFL inside the next 24 hours. But just repeating, 3-day lockdown in the Perth and Peel regions of WA, Howie, as a result of community transition of COVID-19. Here we go again with effect on AFL.
All right, thanks, Damo. We'll speak about that throughout the rest of the show. A couple more guests still to come your way as well. In 25 minutes' time, Shane Burst to join us with quite an extraordinary story, as well as 7:05, Geelong legend and now heavily involved in the game, Stevie Johnson, to join us. So a lot to get through. And it was really positive last week, and I expect more of the same tonight.
Absolutely. A couple of things that we need to deal with off the top badge. A couple of things that have been brought to my attention.
Oh, yes.
As a values-based show here, the Friday Huddle, and we are very big on values. When one of your team members doesn't live up to those values, Chief, it's incumbent on the team to address them. And unfortunately, Nate, the Friday Huddle has a recidivist. So for your benefit, a recidivist is a repeat offender, in case that went over your head.
Very good.
Mark Howard
I'll let you get away with that.
is a recidivist. And
I've copped it the last 3 weeks in a row. I think it's
that
time to
reason
move
alone,
on.
Howard,
I think it's time to move on.
For that reason alone, you keep
What have
coming
I
back
done this
our
time?
way. So we know
This is
that you've
getting a
had
bit tired for me.
unfortunate incident at the Chinese restaurant in Sydney, which was an issue. We had
There was a Korean and there was no incident.
The incident in the lift.
Well, I need to listen to this. Hang
You
on.
stood on
Howard.
the table
Keep going, Duke.
and stomped out and refused to pay.
fat shaming incident, which is a real issue and
true
been a
either.
problem going forward. We know about him digitally altering his voice at Fox Footy because he wants to be more manly, working with people like you, Chief.
The
Jonathan
Brand
Brown.
Two Blues.
voice.
That's another issue that we know that his ego's a runaway train out of control. We've done our best to bring that into
He's a
line.
name dropper.
Extraordinary levels of name dropping. But last week, when a second phone was handed to him, I just had to. I couldn't believe it. Have a listen. The Sunday
Tony Two
edition
Phones.
of Triple M Footy had a bit of a go at it as well. Have a listen to this.
Mark Howard rolling with 2 phones.
Oh, he's up to no good. That's,
This is a word of experience.
there's only 2 reasons why you have 2 phones.
There's only one man here that can really comment on that.
And both are no good.
So, Chief, you were onto this. The man with 2 phones.
It's disturbing, Duke. It is.
There's only a couple of reasons, isn't there?
Well, look, one, it's a burn phone because he's dealing drugs and he doesn't want any of that to be tracked by police. Or
He wouldn't be doing that, Chief.
Or 2, it's for the second
No,
family.
he wouldn't be doing that.
So, well, they're both options, live options.
And given he is a bit of a beach hippie type, he could be doing either.
Well,
There's
we're
no
not ruling
second
any of that
family,
out.
Chief.
Given, as I said, values-based
Did you hear
program
that?
here the Friday.
Hippie type.
Howie's kick-up was, there's no second family.
Definitely not.
He didn't mention anything about the drugs. He said there's no second family.
I wonder why he looks so anemic. He's just starting to scratch himself a bit. So Howie's
Where are you
explanation.
going with this, Lee?
Howie's explanations is I've got the Howie hotline. It's called the Howie hotline. So I'd never heard of self-titled Howie hotline.
Yeah.
Now we have actually gone back and they have got a couple of calls that were made to the Howie hotline. Leroy.
What sort of tool have you turned into, Howie? You've become a self-promoting, egomaniacal knob. Such a wanker. You're completely out of touch with reality. It was the people who got you where you are, and now you just treat them with contempt. You're actually taking the piss, dickhead. I wouldn't give you the steam off my shit. Wake up to yourself, you flog. P.S. Chief is awesome.
I believe that
Who was that, Charles?
came from Jason from the CBD. I think we might have forgotten the beep. We might have played the wrong button there. I think
You got to beep it out,
so.
It has to be vetted before it goes to air,
You
Duke.
got to beep it, Duke.
I might have played the wrong group. So that was Jason from the CBD. We also got this call come through to the Howie hotline.
Howard, it's Chris from Brighton. I just ringing to let you know that I've stuck with you through thick and thin. I stuck with you through the Two Blues scandal. I stuck with you with the Dyson Pepper incident. I even stuck with you when you forced Fox to put on voice-altering technology so you sound like you had a deeper voice. But this Howie's hotline is too much, and I'm off. You're way ahead of yourself. Too much. I'm out.
So Chris from Brighton's deserted now. I'd encourage people who are out there to call the Howie hotline, leave some feedback. We can't control him. He's out of control. So for the Triple M family listening to the Friday Huddle, the many thousands, how do you call the Howie hotline?
Can I just explain what the
And
hotline
just as
is?
importantly, what is it for? Is it so people can talk to you, Howie?
So what happens? The world-renowned Howie Games podcast. It's an offshoot, Chief, where people internationally want to get involved and ask questions about podcasting, sport, etc. They send it in. The Howie hotline.
I asked
very
you a simple
positive,
question. How do
and
you
we
call the
answer it.
Howie hotline?
Well, you can call on the number, or you can WhatsApp, record a message, and send it in. Now, the number. Do you want to know? I don't
Call the number.
No, because it's a positive experience, and I don't want negativity
We're
on
not
the
saying
Howie
that.
hotline.
Just give some
You
feedback.
can't have all positives
on
all
the
the
Howie
time.
hotline.
Sometimes
So the
you've got to
actual
allow
number
negatives in.
is 0434.
You're giving the real number.
The number is 0434 69401. Now,
Tee off on that, please.
now that number is actually, Chief, you like this. If you with the old, it's actually 04 Howie. 01.
Oh, no. Oh, my.
See what we're
no.
dealing with.
Oh, no.
So I want you to
You've lost the
inundate
plot,
that
Howard.
number.
Howard's lost the plot.
Triple M family.
01. Give us a call, Chief.
You are.
This is what we're dealing with. Please,
Oh,
can
no.
you give him some feedback? See if you can help him out there, the Friday Huddle family,
Positive.
and sort that out.
Ask
Now let's
questions.
give it to him. Issue number one. Now we've got a second issue, Chief. If I can,
Okay, keep
if I can
going.
move on,
Keep
if that's
going.
okay.
Yep.
And it involves Luke Tunnicliffe, the big nose producer, who's been producing Triple M
Snorkel.
Footy for 18 years of Snorkel. Now, occasionally he forgets the dump button, and we understand that. We've moved on from that. Apart from that,
No, we haven't.
he's in a bit of
It was a tough one.
He's in a bit of a mood tonight, the big nose producer. He's giving me a very, very evil look out there. He's normally a clean skin, but it's been brought to my attention, Howie.
Yes.
He's moonlighting
Yep.
in the adult film industry. Is that correct?
What?
Well,
This is 100%, I believe.
Starring in them.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll
Chief,
get to that.
just
Now, I
back
don't.
up.
I,
This
no,
is
no, no.
two-phone territory.
I believe he's been moonlighting.
he's been involved in a podcast
Who
hosted
is?
by a wonderful host by the name of Lisa Ann. Now, the
It's a little
podcast,
different to what Duke was
Well,
saying.
hang on.
Involved in adult movies.
No, I haven't quite finished yet.
the
We're not-
Lisa Ann experience.
What?
Lisa Ann is a director, a talent agent, a radio star, and it'd be fair to say the biggest adult movie star on the planet. And she hosts a podcast.
What's
What
her
do you
name,
mean
Lisa?
by adult movies?
Lisa Ann?
It's
Go-
a sports
Google
podcast.
Sort of movies.
With caution, I would
adult
say.
movies,
When
I
you
would
Google
say.
Lisa, Google with caution.
So, do you want me to know a few of the people that have been on her podcast recently?
Not really.
Okay.
Because I want to know why our man, the big nose
Yeah.
producer, why would he, a nondescript producer,
Don't tell me
of
he's-
Triple M football, why would you get him to appear on
That is
a
fascinating,
broadcast
Duke.
by the leading adult film actress in the world? Now, we know we had issues with Chris Judd in this space before. He left the Friday Huddle in disgrace. He had some issues. Now, people have been saying, what happened to Juddy? You know, did he
She's
decide
a
to
star,
move on?
Lisa Ann, by the way, as well. This is a reflection on Luke, not Lisa Ann,
Correct.
who runs a very tight ship.
As you said, the biggest and the best in that particular field of choice. But Juddy
Correct.
had to deal with Sexy Lamb Marabin. We know
Sexy Land.
He had a personal deal with Sexy Lamb Marabin. We had
He was
the
on credit there.
industry people say, was that a cash for comments? Apparently, it was a contra for comments that he was rolling with
He
on the
just
Friday
kept
Huddle.
rolling into the show.
And
Out of the middle of nowhere, Chief.
we had to
He had real issues.
we had to move him on. He's a sick unit, Juddy. We had to move him on, and so now we're going. Why would our man, the big nose producer, be appearing on a podcast? Now I've had to make some calls today and find out. And so,
Yep.
is there a niche market for very,
you
very
ring Lisa?
skinny? I didn't ring. I couldn't get hold of Lisa. Is there a niche market out there, Chief? Now I don't tend to traverse these type of websites. I know others do. Is there a sort of a skinny man sort of? Now, my understanding after a series of phone calls, Dave, I know. Look how nervous everyone is.
I don't know where you're going with this stuff.
Why would he be connected to the
Even I'm
adult
nervous
film
here.
industry?
I don't understand any of this.
But my understanding is that he has been known as the Robin Nahas of media, the little big man.
Come on. Come
And that
on.
is why he has been sought after
on.
to appear on that podcast, and he may be making a breakaway from producing. He may be appearing in adult films sometime.
It's a
soon.
sport podcast.
He's going to get the gear off.
That's what I'm hearing. So I told you we're a values-based show. I have to bring this to the
That's
table.
why he's been doing all the weights that he's been talking about recently. He's trying to get the rig in shape.
Is that
Correct.
right?
It is a sports podcast that unbelievably is bigger than mine. It's got 7 million listeners. It is a big deal. Recent guest, Darryl Strawberry, the baseballer, a chap by the name of Rocco Siffredi, who's also known as
where does our man
How
go?
did they come across Snorkel, though?
Hang on. Rocco Siffredi's known as the Italian Stallion. I don't know who he played for. And just prior to Luke, Sarah J and a chap called Glennie Balls were on the show. And again, I don't know who
don't know what
Glennie
they're up
plays
to.
with.
He's
I'm
not
starting
exactly
to get an idea of what sort of
Who's
adult
that
movies they might be.
Is that last one, Glennie Balls?
He's
I think
he's
he
not your
plays football in
beefcake type of
America.
operator, is he? To be known. Can we get a photo of him up for those that haven't seen behind the scenes? Can we get a picture
He's
of Go
skinny.
to Triple M Footy. How would you
He's
describe?
pasty. He's got a big
And
nose.
apparently it's in proportion.
Like a smaller version of Hugh Grant, but not as good looking.
I'm told
I
Matt
think we need to
Shervington
move
even
on.
says,
Hey,
all right, he's just well played.
We need to move on. The last thing I want to say
disturbing,
is I've gathered some audio from this podcast that didn't go
Lisa
to air.
Ann podcast.
From the Lisa Ann podcast with our man Snorkel that didn't go to air. Now, I'm nervous about this, Damo. You're our moral arbiter here. Do we play
I
the
was
audio
nervous
or
10
not?
minutes ago.
Do you want to hear the audio or not?
Damo's sweating over here.
These things happen. We don't make them up.
So-
These things have actually happened.
These are fact, Duke,
We
aren't
bring
they?
them to
Yep.
the table.
This is audio that was sent to me that didn't make the cut from Luke going one-on-one with Lisa and 7 Million Sports Podcast. Outstanding show.
Sent to you by who?
I can't say,
By
Chief.
Lisa.
I can't say.
Came through on his Hoey
What's
hotline.
going on
I
here?
can't say. Chief, you're the new man of the show. Do you
Is
want
this
to hear
when
the
you had
audio
your
or
phone
not?
hacked, Howie?
Do you want to hear?
I need something because
Okay.
I'm confused at the
All
moment.
right. Well, this is some unplayed audio from the Lisa Ann experience with our man Tunners.
Also, I know so many different things about you, Luke. There's a lot of things you're involved in that I'm excited by. The producer here in you, Triple M Footy, the Friday Huddle seems to be like a group of people I'd like to huddle around. The one person I'm the most curious about, like I'm intrigued by him, would be Jason Dunstall.
Oh, I can't believe you've asked about the Chief. So Chief's reach gets all the way over to New York, does it?
Yeah, it does. The Chief has that kind of reach.
He's I actually don't know where to begin with the Chief. He's a misunderstood human. I'll leave it at that.
Is he single?
He's very single.
This is interesting. Being that I'd love to live in Australia, do you think he and I could get along enough to live together?
If you asked any of our other guys, the answer would be no. But the Chief is a beautiful human, and I'm sure you would hit it off just nicely.
Well, either or. I think, Luke, I would keep the Chief in line. But please, just ask him if he's asked about me and tell him that I said hi.
All right, this is just one of the most ridiculous stitch-ups of all time. Howard, what is going on? What the hell is going on?
It's just ask the segment.
Mate, there's things that come up. You've got to address them as they do. I had no understanding that Lisa was a fan of the Chief.
Massive fan of the Chief.
It's just got weird here all
Well,
of a sudden. on the
she's a
Friday.
sports podcaster,
She is
so
indeed.
she's across all these situations.
Doesn't
Chief.
explain the big nose
Move on.
producer moonlighting on that particular show, though, Howie. That's disturbing.
Move
You're
on.
disturbing.
When's Rowan Smith coming on, Does?
Oh, that's
I
the
can-
exclusive one-on-one.
When's that happening?
Soon. I
Get him
think.
on, mate.
I think
That'll
we'll
be
get
massive.
to Smithy very, very soon.
Shane Burst will be massive as well.
Nate's top 5 is coming up. That is all to come as we are leading up to the Giants taking on the
Damo
Western
was
Bulldogs.
particularly quiet in that segment.
If you had
I
your
was
time
quiet
again.
too.
If you had your time
What
again,
to
Dale.
think.
It's a risk-averse climate we're dealing with at the moment. A lot of people pushing back from it. Why was our producer on a podcast? He's not an on-air person.
I gave you. I think gave
Hang
you.
on a
a
minute.
break.
Is it all about skin flicks, is it?
No, we're moving on. From
It is.
McDonald's and Ream Hot Water,
Why is
Triple M
Tunners
Hot Footy.
appearing?
McDonald's and Ream Hot Water. Nate's top 5, not too far away. Shane Burst to join us. Stevie J as well. The whole crew here as we lead up to the Giants and the Western Bulldogs.
You want to call the Howie
I'll
hotline?
ask him to read.
0434 694 301,
Leave a
or I'm
positive
told
message.
04 Howie is how it works.
04
Chief.
Howie
That's what we do.
01.
04 Howie 01. Leave me a message. Leave me a bit of feedback. Just got a message from Google. They have had a amazing amount of people Google that last segment. There's a bit of sort of crickets going on in our studio on the back of it, but a lot of traffic flowing
It's over to
through.
me now, so I'm going to get us back on track.
that's
and
all right.
we've been
With the
speaking
list.
about Howard and
Chief's
the
not even
issues.
speaking after that last
The
segment.
issues there, but this is before the list. This is a little bit of audio that we've always been talking about how we need to bring Howard back to a level playing field. Well, last Sunday, I think we did. Have a listen to this.
Some audio came to light this week, Clarkie, as you're well aware of Sam Mitchell. I reckon he was mic'd up in Box Hill Hawks, might have been their last practice game, and he was calm, he was controlled.
Yeah, we want to play the high side, mate. Let's get the ball to this side.
We were not tough in that quarter. Now, we weren't attacking either, and I'll hand up, because we couldn't attack into the breeze. So in the last quarter, we'll deal with that, and we'll find a way to attack. We want to continue to score this quarter, but it's going to come down to two things. Toughness and leadership.
That's Sam Mitchell. I'm sure it wasn't put out for that reason, but did wonderful things for his brand, Clarkie. People were talking him up after hearing it. He's one of the more remarkable people I've met in football, but it made you had a few things.
So you found all of that remarkable.
I thought it was really interesting, Duck. I thought the way he was calm, the way he handled himself.
I admit it was calm.
Well, I thought it showed him in a light we haven't seen him before. We've seen him as a player. We haven't heard him as a coach. I just think it...
So far, you've said nothing that's remarkable.
Well, can you just let me finish, Duck? I think it showed Sam in a light we haven't seen him before, and people started talking about him as a potential senior coach off the back of it.
Probably if you had your time again, you'd probably drop remarkable.
I don't think so, Ross.
So that was Ross Lyon with the great line at the end, Howard. It was a remarkable performance by Sam Mitchell.
So you're just, in your segment, you're just going over other bits of audio that you thought were funny
That's
during the
noted
week
his
and put
best,
them in.
as it turns out, yes.
Right.
Yes,
A couple of weeks ago, I went with all my own thoughts, and it didn't work out that well. So I bring audio.
I didn't know we were rolling with the highlights of Triple M football for the week, but apparently it is time for...
The Friday Huddle team sat down at their mahogany table to come up with the next big idea in radio. Then someone said,
Hey, what if we do a countdown?
this is the Friday Huddle's Top 5.
Hang on, just before we get to it, you thought that was amusing last week, so you thought you'd just wedge it into Friday night show, did you?
I appreciated it.
I thought it was
Wedge
pretty
anything
good.
entertaining in on Friday night. That was pretty funny, actually.
What did you think, Chief? Chief still hasn't spoken since the first segment.
There's a bit of Twilight Zone going on tonight. I'm not quite sure where we're at.
Okay. We
Trying
did
to work
last
out
year,
whether that was
and
legit.
we did the top 5 lookalikes, Chief, and you weren't here, so I'll just bring you up to speed with some of the top 5 lookalikes that we did last year, and it came with number 1 was Howie, looked like Ellen DeGeneres. So he's up and about now.
Oh, Chief likes that.
That's good. That is good.
Now you're starting to review last year's show.
I
it was
like
last
that,
week.
Brownie.
Don't
And now
interrupt
you've
him.
gone to 2020.
If he gets a laugh, do not interrupt
He's
him.
on a roll
at this
now.
stage.
Oh,
Have you
yeah.
Have you noticed
away,
how he
Brownie.
looks
You're
like
away.
Ellen DeGeneres?
Don't laugh at that,
Also,
Jason. It's not funny.
we brought up last year the fact that
Another highlights package.
Beavis and Butthead, there was one of the boys out of that. Remember that cartoon from the
Yes, I
90s
do.
that looked like Bailey Fritsch? We've got some feedback because
Yes.
I've sent it out to the listeners. So I've put this back on the Triple M listeners and I've asked them all to come in with some lookalikes. And one of them has come back with the other one, Beavis, looking like the Duke. So I've got the guy there on the right. So somebody thinks that looks like you,
Little bit
Duke.
like
So
me.
that's an honourable mention there.
Yeah, more
first
Tom
up.
Brady.
Okay, the Tom Brady one. Okay. So the first one in the top 5.
I think it was better when you were going with the highlight stuff. I think your original stuff just doesn't
Have you got
work.
any more audio, Nate?
Your
Quickly
original gears
play
just
someone else's funny
absolutely
grab.
crap, Nate.
I could go straight to number 1 if you want me to.
Well,
Now, build it up, Brownie.
Okay, let's go.
Build it up.
Number 5. Now, this come from @Jono_77, and he thinks that Matthew Richardson looks a lot like Alanis Morissette. So there it is there. We're going to put all these lookalikes
There's
on
a little
the
bit
Triple M
there.
website.
There's a little bit there, yeah.
but that's
Good,
number
yes.
5. There's
That's
a lot that I
okay,
couldn't
yeah.
go with. There's a lot that I've asked Snorkel about that he said you can't go with because there's a few issues surrounding it. So probably shouldn't have gone to that first segment before. But let's get into number 4. And Sam McClure is a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, but he's always been rolling with this red hair and this high hair. And
Because he's a redhead.
What else can he roll with?
What is this?
How it works.
Have you ever seen the movie The Incredibles? There's a young man
Yes.
called the syndrome in that, and he's got very high red hair, the same as Sam
it's a
McClure.
very visual segment, this one, but yes.
You're on radio, Brownie.
Yeah.
We are.
His segment didn't work a year ago.
I
and
know,
it's not
mate, I know.
working this year.
But he's showing us pictures. People are in their cars listening going, I can't see the picture.
This is what we told him last
showing
year, Chief.
He's holding them up. He printed them off,
He
Chief.
doesn't
This is
realise that
great.
radio is only an
How do we find
audio
him? Triple M
medium.
Footy?
And then I got one from @Dexalation Dog, and he seemed to think that Jacob Wittering looked a lot like Pee Wee Herman. There's the photo there. So Pee Wee Herman, a great actor from the 80s. The second one is...
No, this is not good.
This came from @Harry Pirelli, and he thinks that Dean Brogan looked like the two mascots that he played for. So the Port Adelaide Power mascot. What is this? I'm losing my way here, but let's get to number one. Let's get to number one
It's
because the number one that came back, it was 57% of the vote, Chief.
Yep.
Our new breakfast host of a morning here at Triple M, Marty Sheargold, 57% of the vote come back that he looks like you.
Does he? What
And
is
that
he?
is
Show
the
us-
number one.
Have you got a photo?
I do have a
Just
photo
so all the
here.
people listening can have a look at it.
Marty Sheargold looks like the Chief.
Marty Sheargold looks like the Chief. There he is there.
He actually does.
Well, there's a bit there. There's a bit there. He's got a bit of Michael Stipe in him too.
Yes.
So Marty was good enough
Bit of crazy man.
because I was a bit unsure about how he'd take that or how the Chief would take that. So I asked Marty what he thought about being compared to the Chief.
Look, it's a little hurtful, I'm not going to lie. I feel like the Chief has a much bigger head than me. He looks like he's got a giant head. I feel like I've got a normal-sized head. No hair, so tick with the Chief on that front. And I don't have a flavour saver, which the Chief is still holding on to. Years after it was ever fashionable, and even longer than Shannon Knoll.
I'm not sure there's anything. I'm not sure there's anything normal about Marty Sheargold. Flavour saver, I've got a beard the same as him. What a tool bag. Have a look at him. If he's not wanted for something, I'll go he. I mean, if there aren't wanted posters somewhere around with Marty Sheargold's face on, I will go he.
It's a teammate of ours, too.
Is he?
Yeah.
Where's he work?
Triple M.
He took Darcy's job. It's okay.
That was awkward.
Took over from them, sort of,
Well, I'm warming to him then.
Is that it?
That's it, Howard.
There's no
That
more
is it.
highlights?
Can everyone see them on
Should
Triple
I
M
bring
Footy?
in
Is it-
photos of my last holiday just so we can all talk about it?
They're going to be uploaded on Triple M Footy.
At Triple M Footy, all
Yep.
the social media channels,
Yep.
Dust. People can, if they choose to, see what Brady was just talking about.
I'd encourage you to do that, Damo. Good to hear from you.
Can I just say, Das, I thought in 5 years the first segment we did was the worst one we've ever put there. What's now the second worst? Because that was abysmal, Chief. What's that,
Chief,
mate? It didn't work in 2020. It wasn't going to work in 2021.
It's the
We
genius
had a
in
couple of
eight.
laughs. didn't we?
It takes a
And you
lot.
laugh.
It takes a lot of skill to pull off a visual gimmick on radio. I'm not sure we have that skill.
It's just
I
the
thought it worked, Brady.
worst thing that's come out of Triple M in many a long year. We'll take a break. Shane Burse.
Great man, Bursey.
We're looking forward to him. And then Stevie J. And then
Rowan Smith.
we're going a bit serious because Das has got some serious discussions.
I'll go
he
one-on-one
wants to have
with Rowan
Rowan
Smith tonight.
This is going to be one of the great interviews, Brownie.
Can't wait for that. Duke one-on-one.
We're going to take a break here. McDonalds, Marine Hot Water, Triple M Rocks Footy. We are leading up to the Giants taking on the Western Bulldogs. Mark Howard, Luke Darcy, Nathan Brown, Jason Dunstall, Damien Barrett, who's got some news, but you just got a bit of listener feedback on Nate's
Fair
last
bit
segment.
of feedback coming our way, not all of it positive. Splashtaz23 says that segment was the worst I've ever heard in radio history. Do not do lookalikes ever again on radio.
You blokes are still laughing, though, aren't you? Hey?
Was
People are talking about it.
Was Splash Taz talking about the first segment we did or the second segment
I
we
think
did?
the whole Friday
Or
huddle
both.
has had what with golf in terms of mulligan.
Well,
You'd like to take one.
in T20 terms, we've just got through the power play and we're 6 for 15, I reckon. But there's still 14 overs to go. Now, Damo, you brought us some news at the start, just for those that are joining us for the first time, and hopefully that's the majority of the audience joining us for the first time, Chief. Tell us what's happening in the West, and there's updates as we go to air right now.
Yeah, as it stands, Howie, it is quite worrying from a wider perspective, but obviously AFL specifically. The Perth and Peel regions of WA have put into a 3-day lockdown as of midnight tonight on the back of a community case or 2 cases of community transition of COVID-19 in Perth itself. So what that means for the AFL, the Fremantle-North Melbourne game tomorrow night at Optus Stadium will go ahead without a crowd. And that's only 1 week after there was 100% of crowd allowed, a 54,000 crowd for the West Coast Collingwood game in the previous round. So tomorrow night, Fremantle-North Melbourne will go ahead without a crowd. West Coast is in Melbourne to play Geelong tomorrow at GMHBA Stadium. That game will go ahead with a full crowd capacity to attend, and the AFL will make decisions on the travel plans for North to return from Perth to Melbourne and for the Eagles to return to Perth from Melbourne at some stage of the next 24 hours. And obviously, at this stage, that are in a holding pattern. Matches are scheduled, as we know, all the way through until round 10 now. But given what could happen if this lockdown is extended in Perth and if it does affect other parts of the country, the AFL will have to revert to what it did last year at some stage.
And this came from hotel quarantine?
Hotel quarantine of a person who came through in Perth and then had contact with someone else who has had the transmission of COVID-19 in Perth.
An extraordinary update, Damo, isn't it? 2 people enough to shut down an entire state is
Very quickly
stunning.
On that, Chief, the Northern Territory experience, am I right to say, without giving away state secrets, that you spent some time in the Northern Territory?
I quarantined in Darwin, for 2 weeks.
The Howard Springs?
Howard Springs, yes.
So that seems to be the gold standard. That's what people are wanting as far as quarantine. What was the experience like for you?
But it was a mining settlement. So you're
it's not in the
cabins.
city?
No, it's not in the city. Just on the outskirts.
But they haven't had any problems there, have they? So they were talking about setting up one in Avalon, in regional Victoria, that hasn't gone ahead.
That was one of the ideas that was promulgated, but it makes sense, doesn't it? You've got even down at Puckapunyal or some opportunities that wouldn't, have people in a hotel room with the windows closed, maybe a better option. But anyway, we're building up to a big game tonight in Canberra. It's the Bulldogs and the GWS Giants. Bit of history between these 2 clubs. And on a Friday, I'd like to catch up with past greats, cult heroes. Rowan Smith interview coming up shortly. But this is one of my favourite teammates ever, Shane Burse. Did you play with Bursey, Nate?
Certainly did play with Bursey.
Bursey joins us. Boy from Sale, 71 AFL games and a ripper. Welcome, Bursey.
Yo, boys. How are we?
Been a long time since I had the opportunity to speak to you, Bursey. Now, you would imagine I'm ringing you about one particular story in you got an idea where we might be heading, Bursey?
Yeah, mate. Look, Darcy, it would have been nice to speak to you boys on better terms. I don't think you have to bring up these memories, do you?
Well, you
really
do because the WhatsApp came out and said, "Who do you want to speak to?" I said, "I want to speak to Shane Burse." I haven't spoken to Burse. He was a ripper chief, a great person, but he's famous for probably one of the most memorable things that ever happened in my time at the Bulldogs. Nate, would you agree?
Oh, mate, yeah. Look, it wasn't the best moment of my footy career, that's for sure. But unfortunately, Darcy, I can't deny this story.
All right. Now, I'm going to go with a bit of it, and you can fill in the gaps. But, Chief, we used to have, in those days, you'd raise money for the end-of-season trip, as you would have done many times. It was a big thing, Howie, to get fundraisers done, and we had a night that wouldn't be approved these days. It was a manpower night, and we could raise up to $70,000, $80,000 at this function.
And it went all to the players.
We went to the players' trip, Damon. If you're on the committee, you might have been flown at the front of the plane, depending on how well organised you were. But these functions were notorious for players getting excited about the opportunity that was going to come. Now, in preparation for this manpower night, Chief, because it's a night where the players used to get their gear off, Bursey, ahead of it was on a Saturday night, Friday night footy, Bursey. What did you choose to do? We're playing, I think, Collingwood at the MCG. What did you choose to do in preparation for manpower night?
Mate, I was we're playing Hawthorn at the G. And, on the Friday, you always look a little bit fitter when you've got a nice tan. So at the time, I was actually living in South Melbourne, and my wife's housemate was she called herself a beautician. I'm not sure how the result, if she could claim that. But I thought a spray tan would go quite well, Darth.
And how did that spray tan go, Bursey?
Probably drastically wrong. Probably put it fair. I think it turned out a little bit orange, didn't it?
He was glowing.
He walked into the rooms Friday night for the MCG, and it took your breath away. You went,
he looked radioactive.
Oh my God! So clearly, Bursey has had said spray tan, looking like an Oompa Loompa from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And then, Bursey, you decided to try and salvage it, and you got hold of a loofah, and it looked like you then had some horrific skin condition. Would that be fair to say? Because it was parts.
I think I went through about 3 or 4 scrubbing brushes on that afternoon. I'm like, how am I going to get rid of this? And I reckon we were fair stiff that day. And then as I rocked up, I think I put the boys' mind off the game a little bit.
I'll never forget that Peter Rowe was our coach at the time. The look on his face was, and I'm thinking, for Bursey to come out of this anything like even to be okay and his career to progress, probably got to have 50 possessions and kick 9.
How'd you go that day, Bursey?
How'd you play, Bursey?
Well, in those days, Dars, I might have, as the match report might come out, but I might have got 50 if I spent some time on the ground, Dars. But I was too busy picking the splinters out of my bum. So yeah, look, I didn't have a great day. Didn't have a great weekend, to be honest.
Fair to say we got belted by Hawthorn that Friday night, Chief. And then Peter wrote after, I've never seen a more horrified man. He gets the pre-game speech, Bursey, you remember him? He's got everyone now. We get belted by it. So this night's on that's about. So first thing is I'm cancelling Manpower Night. It's gone. That's it. It's not happening. And then he turns around and he says, Shane Burrs, you turned up and you're a carrot. He just, the just dismay in his voice, Percy, I'll never, ever forget. And you're sitting front and centre, bright orange, mate. It was an extraordinary spray your way.
Yeah, mate, it was definitely one I'd like to forget. But for some reason, all you boys just keep wanting to bring it up. And, yeah, I don't know about that. I reckon at least 10 years on, 15 years on, we've got to put it to bed, don't we?
Hey, Shane, did you get any feedback from your opponents on the day?
Oh, not so much the opponents. I remember we were warming up and I got down, we're warming up at the Hawthorn cheer squad end and I got down the end there and I was getting called Goldie and all these qualities. Mate, I was, if I hadn't lost my confidence, I definitely did by then, that's for sure. Yeah, look, it wasn't a great moment, that's for sure. I remember we had a 6 o'clock session the next morning, and I'd lived in South Melbourne, as I said, and I went to jump on the West Gate. West Gate was closed. I was late to the meeting, and the boys were out running 400s. And look, I wasn't the favourite teammate, that's for sure, that weekend.
And Shane, just before we let you go, what are you up to these days? Are you back in the valley or not?
No, I'm in the sunny coast at the moment. Moved up here in December. Spent 9 years in Adelaide, playing at West Adelaide, and then decided to make the move up the sunny coast. So
sunny coast.
Got some family up here. Yeah, just bought a house in Maroochydore and doing some renovations and stuff like that. So it's keeping me busy.
You'd have a good tan up there.
Oh mate, I've got the don't need the spray tan, that's for sure. Got the top off working and just natural these days, mate.
The end part.
Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world.
It is a beautiful part of the world. But so the 6 a.m. training was called as a result of the disgust that the coach and so Bursey, as he pointed out, actually turned up late for that on the back of turning up like a carrot, and everyone had to write their own match report around how they went. Now Scotty West, I think on that day actually did have 50 and kick 4, and he stood up and said, in light of events, I give myself a 5 out of 10. And
you had to rate yourself out of 10 as well.
So that was the sort of Bursey, who's turned up orange. Turned up late then for the punishment session, stands up and says 7 out of 10.
Lack of opportunity.
Due to lack of opportunities. We're going, Bursey, no. Cut it off, Bursey.
I've never seen 30 blokes heads drop so quickly.
Mate, hey, great to catch up with you, Bursey. You're an absolute ripper. We loved playing with you and good to hear. Life is good on the sunny coast, mate. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, hope you're well, boys. Thanks.
Good on you, Bursey.
Just out of interest, what did you rate yourself, Duke?
I had an ordinary run. I was a 9, I think, Chief.
What about you, Noodles? Was that when you were the best player in the comp or not?
It was after that, Howard.
Right.
I can't remember, to be honest. But it wasn't a great day. But good story, Duke. Well done.
We'll take a break here. Now, give us a call if you want to try and beat the Chief. He is 4-0 up. No one's got near him. 133353. If you think you can name the power ballads quicker than the Chief can, give us a call now. 133353. What are the prizes today, Damo?
There's a Howie Game sticker.
Yep.
Nathan Brown will present...
Well, you got the merch coming out now.
Yes, the T-shirts are coming soon.
The merch is coming.
Not quite delivered. What are you offering?
6 weeks now at Sukhavati, Bali.
6 weeks. You
6
probably have the whole
now. You can have the whole joint
to yourself.
But you need to leave tomorrow.
And Nate's going to provide the photos of those lookalikes that he had earlier.
So the winner.
Give us a call. Try and beat the Chief in a musical quiz next. 133353.
Been a good edition of the Friday.
McDonalds and Ring Hot Water. We might not make 7 o'clock. Triple M Rocks Footy. All this footy making you hungry. Digging a Macca's new 100% Aussie chicken burgers like the serious saucy palmy burger or the fiery McSpicy. A burger so hot it will bring tears to your eyes. Get them as part of your Friday night footy feed at Macca's. We're leading up to the Giants and the Western Bulldogs. Just before we get to beat the Chief, you just told me in the ad break, Nate, I'm looking forward to Sunday. I said, mate, I can't wait to call Anzac Day with you, and you delivered me some very disturbing news.
I'm doing Saturday's game, doing Carlton, Brisbane. Ewan rang me. There's a couple of runarounds and they're trying to accommodate Duke doing something, so Duke's doing Sunday.
But Anzac Day, apart from Grand Final Day, for mine is the best day on the footy calendar. You've done Triple M football on a Sunday for the last year and a half, haven't missed a game, and now all of a sudden Anzac Day comes along and you're not on the roster.
How can Duke just shaft you?
Well, I don't know. He has to call the grand final in his contract, so maybe he's added that to his contract this year.
That is part of his contract.
Here's the contract.
What's happened is management have decided that they need to wheel in the big.
Oh no! Sounding a lot like Howie.
Actually, I'll pull right back. You're going to compare me to. I was just called and saying, "Are you able to do Sunday?"
But Nathan, you were available for Sunday.
Yeah, you asked me, and I'm just a team player, Howie, so I'm going to do Saturday.
Okay.
Did you ring Brownie after white-handing him?
I actually didn't understand the I hadn't even
I think
put that
Brian's
together.
involved as well somewhere.
Oh, of course, Brian's involved.
What's the
It's a three-way turnaround
So
somewhere.
instead of doing Anzac Day at the MCG, the great game it is, what game are you doing?
Carlton and Brisbane, blockbuster.
Good game.
Right.
Good game.
Okay, is that in Brisbane?
No, it's at Marvel Stadium.
Okay, right.
There's all sorts of movements on the media front, Howie, when it comes to calling and who calls what for whom. And
What do you got there, Jack?
Well, has he spoken?
This is Damo's sweet spot this year.
I've still got a couple of jigsaw pieces to put into the overall 1,000-piece
Right.
upright set. Thank you, Brownie. And Bill Brownless has also done some heavy lifting on this, and we are attempting and going to attempt to reveal all tomorrow on the Saturday.
Hey, hang on. You're bringing something up on Friday night that you're not prepared to go with to promote your little show tomorrow.
And as I do as a journalist, I will not go with anything until I can be comfortable. I can prove it, and I'm not yet at that stage.
Oh, so you're going to get that proof overnight,
I'm awaiting a phone call tonight or tomorrow morning before I go to wear it.
He's holding out on us, Chief.
I'm sure he is.
It's not great, Warrior.
No, I would not hold out on us. I just can't go with it just yet. And Billy's done as much heavy lifting on this as I have, and we just need to reconvene tomorrow morning.
So who's the phone call you're waiting for?
That I can't say, and I never would, but it's someone I trust who will give me all the information I need, and it involves people in this room, it involves people at other people at Triple M, it involves people at Channel 7, it involves people at Foxtel. So it's
Channel 7, that's Lewis Martin's territory.
Well, he's head of Channel 7, yes.
Right, so is that whose phone call you're waiting on or not?
I would doubt he'd be speaking to me, Howie, but
okay.
We can get information without speaking to
All right, it is time now for...
It's time to test your knowledge against footy's greatest musical mind.
Get on with it, Flog.
This is Beat the Chief.
6 rounds in, our man, the most anyone's got off him is 3 questions out of 10. He's decimated the opposition. Yeah, we had to handicap him. We had to handicap him. So basically, we will name a song, and the Chief versus the guest that's rung in will name the band as quickly as they can. Dan is trying to take on the Chief tonight from Rye. Good evening, Dan. How are you going?
Good evening, fellas. Yeah, very good, thank you. Happy to be here.
What do you like on power ballads, which is what we're going with tonight, Dan?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm 45 years old, sort of a solid music listener over the years, but nothing too modern.
Hey, Dan, have you heard the Chiefs' form in recent weeks? Have you know what you're up against?
No, I don't know what I'm up against, but I'm just happy to be one out with the Chiefs.
Okay, and your buzzer tonight, Dan, what are you going to go with?
I'll just go my name, Dan.
Okay, Dan and Chief, welcome
I'll just
along.
go with Chief, Howie.
Just Chief tonight. Just Chief. All right.
Yeah, not feeling great tonight.
He's a bit off his game tonight, Chief.
Yeah, I think I might get bowled over here.
All right, here we go. Number 1, Dan versus Chief. I'll name the song, the power ballad. First in on the buzzer to name the band. I don't want to miss a thing.
Chief.
Yes.
Aerosmith.
Oh, Chief. Just back. It's all right, Dan. You got 9 left. Don't worry. The second one. Every rose has
Chief.
its... Yes.
Dan.
Poison.
Yep. Good try, though, Dan. Good try. We'll get to you in a moment, Dan.
This might be your best category, Chief.
Yeah, he's very good at this.
Try to play it
song
down.
number 3, Patience.
Chief.
Yes.
Guns N' Roses.
It's not set up. Chief doesn't get it beforehand. Dan, you
gonna have
came
to-
in confident. How are you feeling at this stage?
Yeah, a little bit shaky, but let's have a
Can
go.
we hear your buzzer, Dan, just to make sure it's working, please?
Dan.
There we go. Okay.
Give him one for that, I reckon.
Song number 4, a tougher one now. I want to know what love is.
Chief.
Yes.
Dan.
Foreigner.
Yes. Dan, what were you going to go with?
Yeah, I was going to go as Foreigner.
Okay, we still don't get a point, unfortunately. Number 5, here you go. You need this to stay in the competition. Our man's a freak. He is a freak
He
at
is
this.
extraordinary.
Here we go. The Flame.
Chief.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Cheap trick.
Cheap trick.
What's the score at the moment?
5-0 it is. Now, people are suggesting that we've got a delayed scenario, the phone's delayed. We gave him a 3-second handicap. He was still too good. Dan's just been outplayed, I think.
Someone was telling me recently, Nath, you need to find what you're good at in life. And if you find what you're good at in life, you can go anywhere. Someone was telling me that very valuable lesson recently.
You found confidence and arrogance?
No.
An abundance of it.
Do you want me to know who told me that?
Well, yeah.
Drop a name.
Kelly Slater told me that. Okay.
You are very good at that.
We'll continue. You are. You could have made a lot of money doing this.
It's taking me nowhere.
Here we go. Song at number 6 with the score at 5-0. Chief versus Dan. Everything I do it.
Chief.
Dan.
Yes.
Brian Adams.
Brian Adams, yes. Good try though, Dan. You going all right, Dan?
I thought I had him. I had him there.
Not quite there.
Famously from which movie?
Prince of Thieves, Robin Hood.
There you go. There's an extra point.
He's now got movies.
He's got the bonus
got
points
the
on the
soundtracks now.
He's 7 out of 6, the Chief. He's
That's
7
next week, Chief.
out of
Soundtracks.
6. He's naming movies. Who played Robin Hood?
Kevin.
Now take 6. Right, no, he's on.
Get on with it.
It's 6-0.
Now,
Here we
bring
go.
it home, Chief. Clean slate here.
So you go first clean slate. Song number 7, Bed of Roses.
Chief.
Yes.
Bon Jovi.
Hang in there, Dan. Hang in there.
Here's some old school hip hop.
Well, that might be next week.
Hip-hop.
Now, this is a tougher one. This is a tougher one for the power ballads. Currently 7-0. How do I get you alone?
Chief.
Yes.
Hard.
Oh, there's no one better.
This is my favourite segment of all-time radio I've ever heard or been involved in.
I like the power ballads too. They're all sing-along, aren't they?
They're good, aren't they?
Song number 9. Keep on loving you.
Chief.
Yes.
REO Speedwagon.
Filming this so people know that he's not cheating. He's just sitting here looking into
Dan,
yonder.
we'll just get a tabulation of the results. What's the score currently?
It's 10 out of 9. Chief, as we sit at the moment.
So basically, Dan, if you get 11 from the next one, you will win. Are you ready?
Right. Yeah,
okay.
I'm ready.
Chief, going for the first clean sweep in the history of the competition. I will always love you.
Dan.
Chief.
Oh, you
Dan
got him.
He got him.
Dan got him.
Choir Boys.
No! Chief.
You got a chance. Oh, was it? Oh,
Whitney Houston.
Yes, it is.
So we give him that?
No, we're not giving it to him because he didn't get in first, but he wins 9-0. Dan, unfortunately, you don't get the Triple M Mystery Prize Pack. You must be in awe of what you've just heard, though.
Mate, it was a freak goal kicker and he's a freak music knowledge man. Well
Oh,
done,
you're a
Chief.
good man, Dan. You're a good man.
Good on you, Dan. Well, stay on the
We're going to have
line.
to go to Miff Warhurst or,
Oh, that flog.
we need
And
someone who's got some...
Alan Bro and Miff Warhurst, they're freaks.
Stay on the line,
Absolute
Dan.
freaks.
That's where
Our
we're
man
Used to love Spicks and Specks as a show.
We're building up to...
Tunners will sort you out some prizes. I'm not sure what you'll get after what he's been involved in lately, but you'll get some prizes from our man Tunners. Good on you, Dan. Appreciate you calling into the Friday Huddle. He's gone, but the good news, because we've got some entertainment coming your way, Chief, now, because Jared Timms
sleep
joins
time.
us from our sponsor. Hello, Timsy.
Absolutely dread the Friday night now, boys. How are you all?
Come on,
Timsy.
Head-to-head in line markets, the Giants versus the Doggies. What do you got, Big Horse?
The season best performance for the Giants last week. Betting, unfortunately, suggests that they won't be repeating it tonight. $3.80 outsiders here in Neds. The undefeated Bulldogs are very firm now, market at $1.28. It's Friday night, of course, so we're offering $2 lines. They've been set at 22.5 points.
So what have you been up to, Timsy? Tell us if you've got anything. Give him another go. Anything amusing happening in your life? Have you got a little anecdote for us?
I've really just been looking forward to this long weekend, to be honest, and evidently it doesn't start until after these calls on a Friday night, so...
Stick to the script. I tell you, ask the man a question.
What about Toby Green on the first goal market there, Jared?
It goes to show the talent of this man. His side of clear outsides. Toby Green is our $8.50 favourite to boot the first goal tonight. Aaron Norton and Josh Bruce tied on the second line, $9 double figures, an offer for everyone else here. Jeremy Finlayson and Harrison Hillberg, both $11 chances.
Do you have any pets, Timsy?
Do I have any pets? I have a dog named Sherwood, yes.
Just quickly, any other value today, Timsy?
Well, Friday nights
What
are
sort of dog
perfect
is
for
it?
a same-game multi, boys. I think the Giants can make a game of this, so I'm going to take them to finish within the line. Under 154.5 total match points and Toby Green to boot the first goal.
I love you, Timsy. Good on you, mate.
$24.32. Thanks, boys. Cheers.
Jared from Neds. Remember to get
Enjoy a long weekend. So you got a dog. We know more about
Stick
Timsy
to the script with Timsy,
than
all
we
right.
didn't know last
He's not
week.
an ad-libber. Triple M Friday Huddle coming back in a moment. Welcome along, Friday Huddle. Thanks to Triple M, Maccas and Ream Hot Water, Triple M rocking footy. Welcome wherever you're listening. If you're just joining us for the first time, I think it's our West Australian audience joining us for the very first time as well, Damo. We'll get to some news. Stevie J about to join us, but just for those that haven't heard the entirety of the show, major developments in Western Australia due to COVID-19. It's affecting the AFL as it will affect all parts of community.
Yeah, there's some nervousness around the community, and from an AFL perspective, it relates to the game tomorrow night, Fremantle, North Melbourne at Optus Stadium. North flew into Perth today. An hour before they got there, the state was announced to be in lockdown from, the Perth and Peel regions of the state are announced to be in lockdown from midnight tonight on the back of 2 cases of community transition of COVID-19. So the North Freo game will go ahead at Optus Stadium, but there will not be a crowd. West Coast is in Melbourne to play Geelong tomorrow in Geelong. That game will go ahead. There will be the capacity for a full crowd, and the AFL will make decisions inside the next 24 hours on the travel plans for those 2 teams that need to get home. North back to Melbourne and West Coast back to Perth. And obviously, Howie, when these things happen, as it stands, the lockdown starts as of midnight tonight. For 3 days. We just don't know how long it may be extended beyond that, if at all. But if it is, obviously the AFL will need to have contingencies as early as round 6. There's a derby next Sunday week in Perth as scheduled, and given there were 100% capacity for a round 4 game, Collingwood and West Coast, that crowd, obviously, as we speak right now, is unknown for that big game of the year.
We'll get to that in a moment. Stevie J, legend of the Geelong Football Club, now heavily involved with the Giants, joins us on the line as we lead up to the big game, the Giants versus the Western Bulldogs. Mark Howard here. Jono, good evening to you. How are you, great man?
I'm well, thanks, boys. How are you?
Yeah, very good. You would have probably just heard Damo talking about the situation in the West, rapidly changing with COVID. What did you learn last year that you're trying to apply this year, mate, just with the changes that come your way as a professional sporting team these days? Because last year was obviously one out of the box, and from what Damo's telling us, you might have to face it again at some stage this season. Fingers crossed you don't.
Yeah, I guess you just got to adapt and roll with the punches. There's not too much control you can have over it, but just have in the back of your minds that you may have to be flexible with what's been happening over the last 12 months. So hopefully it doesn't get any worse, but certainly love to just stay at home as much as possible, but have to see what happens.
How are you enjoying the way the game's being played in 2021, Steve? It looks to the eye to be a little bit more attacking, a little bit more entertaining.
Yeah, I reckon it's the rule changes have been really good, Chief. I think certainly scoring's improved. I think you've seen the key forwards kicking more goals, and that's great for the game. It's more excitement, and I don't think there's been too many blowouts throughout the year. The games have been really tight, which has been a good spectacle.
Now, Stevie, every time I'm calling a game and a player lines up and they bend it around the directly in front, 10 metres out, I credit you. So this is Stevie J who started this. Are you comfortable with that, Stevie? You think it was you that put that style of kick on the map? You think it's been a good legacy for you?
And keep calling it too, Duff. But no, I actually I done it like early on in my career at Geelong, and Blake Caroselli come to me and said, "Oh, I started that." I said, "No way, you did." Caris. He tried to take the credit for it, but I didn't sort of put that out there.
What about the blokes that are doing it from almost directly in front now, Stevie? I mean, they've just got no confidence in their ability to kick a drop punt.
No, I disagree, Chief. I think you're hitting the fatter part of the ball with more chance of kicking it through. Some players, I think, don't have the confidence to go back and have to spend 30 seconds lining up the goal. They're not always the kickers as what you were, and they probably just want to get it over and done with. But if you do practice the kick, I think it's on percentage terms for the guys that can do it. It's the kick to take as much as possible.
Well, if it's a better kick, why don't we pass to players around the ground like that?
What's that? Sorry, the ground announcers.
If it's a better kick, why don't we pass to teammates on the field around the ground like that?
Because the ball's staying in the air for a little bit longer. So you have to kick up on the ball to kick a snap, whereas a drop punt's a better field kick.
Nice reply to Chief there,
you
Stevie. That's one of you.
You kicked the footy that went to the goals, Chief, through the goals. You didn't kick around the ground, did you? Chief.
I hold Stevie responsible.
Hey, Stevie, the friction between these two teams playing tonight, you've sampled it close hand. You've also sampled it from afar. What's it do to you when it stirs the old competitive juices as you get closer? Obviously, you can't play a direct hand tonight, but do you like it when there's a bit of heat about a game upcoming?
Yeah, I love it. I love you still get the juices flowing a little bit, even though you can't go out there and have an impact on the field. But yeah, it's great that our club's got a rivalry at such a young club. We've had the Swans last week, was a very big build-up, and we thought our boys performed well. And the Bulldogs has been growing over the last 4 or 5 years, so it's another good challenge for us. And it's a good weekend to bring out that spirit with Anzac Day weekend.
Stevie, you're several years into an assistant coaching career at the moment. Obviously, you'd like to be a senior coach. Is that something you want to push for sooner rather than later?
Oh, I don't think so, Brownie. I mean, it's something that I certainly think could be in the pipeline as I get more experience. But, I'm still a very young coach and still trying to learn my trade. And I think that, there has been some people go into the job too early. So I understand I've still got a lot to learn. And one day that may be something that I try and put my hand up for.
Stevie, it's an interesting discussion. From what you're watching, from those around you, from those senior coaches, what do you reckon you need to improve to go to the next level as a coach?
I think there's a lot of responsibility that comes with being a senior coach, and I think you spend a lot of time just adapting to a new job. You get given new roles. So I've taken over our ball movement this year. You just get more responsibility as you get older, and then I guess you got to understand the amount of work that goes into the stuff away from the football club that the senior coaches have to do. So that'd be something that I'd need to be comfortable with if I was going to put my hand up for a senior job, but that won't be in the near future.
So if you're talking about ball movement, just one more from me. When the rules came in over the off season, did you picture in your mind the game that we're seeing played? Like, you guys have enough of an understanding of the game that think, right, these rules are going to add up to this style of play?
I probably thought that there may be more energised handballs where you take out the man on the mark, and we certainly practice that, but we haven't used it as much as what we thought we were going to. But it certainly opened up more 45-degree kicks, which obviously opens up the ground, and you can get the ball inside 50 fairly quickly. So, as I said before, it's been a really good change and certainly helping generate higher scores.
Steve, I need to ask you, what is an energised handball?
It's just where you get a 2v1, so the man on the mark's there, you're holding the ball, and you just, a lateral handball to someone that can run past the man on the mark. Given they can't move, you can just give that 2-metre handball and run past and turn it into a 70 or 80 metre play.
I like it.
All right, Stevie, we appreciate you joining us on the Friday Huddle. Best of luck to you, Leon, and the entire Giants organisation tonight.
Thanks very much, boys. Cheers.
Well done, Stevie.
Very nice. Are we going to see some blue-style material tonight, Damo? Is there going to be a bit of fisticuffs and push and shove, or is there no room for it?
Given that the Giants tried it in the home and away game last year and it just didn't work, it fell really flat. Nick Haynes was sent to take the coin toss at an early stage of Stephen Coniglio's then fresh captaincy.
Darce announced their big news that was going to happen at the
Darce
coin
was all
toss,
over it.
didn't he? That's
Darce somehow
right.
knew all
Just
this.
another breaking story,
That's
Howie,
right.
that
Yeah,
I
it
went
was.
with on the Friday Huddle.
It was
but-
enormous at the time.
They then didn't give a yelp beyond that show, as in the Giants.
They did go after him in the final the year before that, though, and they were very successful.
Yeah, and look, the origins of the restart of the feud was the Bontempelli hit on Nick Haynes late in 2019. The ramifications for that were played out in the next week, basically, when they played in the final. And Toby Green did what he did to Bontempelli. It certainly has set it up, but it didn't work last year when they tried the same thing.
The Bulldogs got slightly different personnel now, Howie, than they had previously. I think a bit more experienced, a bit more hardened bodies. They may be a little bit vulnerable back then in that final, but it's great. It's a new rivalry, and it's genuine.
Yep.
The prelim final that was a very narrow win to the Bulldogs that may have been GWS's, even though they got in the grand final a couple of years later. It's like there's a genuine feeling between those clubs, and their supporters feel it as well.
What I like, you often get a rivalry like that, and this one's based on real heat, isn't it? Aggression, nastiness even when it came to the Toby Green Bontempelli thing. But both clubs since that moment, have embraced it, haven't they, Das? Even Luke Beveridge this week said, look, we expect it to come. We're going to be ready for it, and we'll do what we have to do as well. There's no shying away from it. And normally in this politically correct era, we sort of, as a footy club and an industry, back away from it, but it's almost a guarantee, isn't it?
Can happen when sides, Ryan Griffin went there, he was the captain of the Bulldogs, and, a bit of personnel swap as well.
Kick break.
Callum Ward.
I want to leave enough room for the next segment because Darcy's promising something special. He's going one-on-one with Rowan Smith.
Done all the heavy lifting tonight again, but this will be big.
Do not miss this interview. It's going to be huge.
Massive.
For McDonalds and Ream Hot Water, Rowan Smith to join us next. Triple M Rocks Footy. Now on the Friday Huddle, an absolute legend of the AFL and the Western Bulldogs Football Club. Footscray, call him what you want. This man was a star in his day. His name is Rowan Smith. He joins us now on the Friday Huddle. G'day, Smithy.
Hey, Howie. G'day, guys. How you going?
Wonderful to speak to you. Now, Darcy,
clear the
tee this
decks.
up. Yes.
Clear the decks. I don't want any of you floggers talking
Okay.
this. I mean, Brownie sort of moonlighted down there at the Bulldogs for a while, and then he took off for money to Richmond. And no, Smithy doesn't want to talk to Brownie. He doesn't want to talk to Chief. He certainly doesn't want to talk to Damo.
No.
I want to talk to Smithy because this is one of the great people you'll ever meet. He's a lovely human. Nothing like the idiots I have to work with. Smithy, how are you, mate?
Hey, Darce. How you going, lads?
300-game superstar, Smithy. Tell me about 5-0 start. Is it all you?
No, definitely not, mate. Definitely not. I think the boys have got a lot to play with it. Look, the boys have been sensational. I just think that the way they prepared, especially over pre-season, they just got massive belief in themselves, and to be 5-0 is a fantastic effort for them.
Bit of aggro between the Giants and the Bulldogs. Are you expecting a bit of that tonight, Smithy?
Yeah, there will be, Das, for sure. It's a great rivalry that we've had for a really long time. It probably stems from the early days when we were both really probably young teams, and they tried to establish themselves into the AFL, but probably comes back to the 16 prelim. And, we all think about, that game, often, and probably stems from that one, but there's been a little bit of a biff as well over the last couple of seasons. The boys targeting Bont, etc. But the boys stood up really well last year, and we'll move on from that.
Now, there's been some great friendships in AFL football before, but none quite like your friendship with Brad Johnson. At some point, now these guys you had a tunnel between houses. Tell me, is that not true, or have I made that up?
That is 100% true. We had a 120-metre tunnel underneath our Williamstown houses. They actually both came out on each side of each other's bedroom. So Jono's side in his bedroom to my side in my bedroom. We just had a little tunnel there for a little while.
Respective wives were genuinely concerned at one stage, Smithy, because I've never seen two males in football closer than the two of you were at any stage. What was that, Nate?
Well, Das, I'll tell you what. I'm sorry to cut you off, mate, but I reckon there's a little bromance that's happening at the moment that could overtake myself and Jono.
Who would that be?
Adam Treloar and Josh Dunkley.
No, I have heard that. They've struck up an extraordinary friendship, those two, haven't they?
Oh, mate, seriously, mate. They are joined at the hip, worse than Jono and I. They do everything together. They are inseparable at the moment, and they're playing great footy at the same time.
Well, Smithy, I could spend another hour and a half. I won't subject you to the idiots that I sit alongside on a Friday night, but huge game tonight. A side that's 5-0, before I let you go, you make 5 changes.
He's still going.
Yeah.
Why would that be the case?
Well, probably 3 dusts that we're probably going to make anyway with Steph Martin, Caleb Daniel, and Leif Vandermeer. Probably, missing last week. They get virtually automatic selections back in this week when they were available. But then also too, we're going to reward VFL form. St. Cordy and Jongy have been, going some, great guns and, playing some really good footy. And who's that?
Shut up, Chief. Just enough, mate.
This is an on-air. You've just discovered the cure for insomnia. It's you doing a one-on-one with Rowan Smith. This is real sleep-inducing stuff. What the hell's going on?
There will be
I didn't sign up for this.
An audience spike, see, I told you, Smithy. That's why
Bulldogs are playing well, Rowan.
Geez, you blokes are unbelievable, are you? Hey, you've had your time, Chief. Just sit back now.
Hey, did Duke ever punch you, Rowan? We're trying to find out all the players that he's punched.
I'll punch you in a minute, Chief. I'll tell you what. Smithy, I'll let you get back to the game, and that's why only reluctantly do we call you on the Friday. It's one of the all-time greats there, Howie. 300-game superstar. Good on you, Smithy.
Smithy, before we let you go, mate, I'd just like to apologise for leaving your jet ski on the bottom of Lake Epilock that time that we took it out. It wasn't my fault. It was Rob Murphy's fault, and we do owe you about 10 grand for that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it was true that, Brandy. Yeah, it actually cost me about $5 to fix. I still haven't seen that $5 yet either, so I expect that in the mail this week, mate.
Good on you, Smithy. Have a great night. Appreciate your time.
All right, see you, boys. See you later. See ya.
Now, Smitty did a magnificent job, but you were coming with something exclusive, and you've just rolled out a sort of 1997 ABC style
Is that your first one-on-one since the
It had
weapon?
nothing in it, Chief.
That's your first one-on-one since the weapon.
Is this really on air?
I don't know what
Don't
that was.
understand.
This has gone to air.
Because I'm
You let Smithy down there.
surrounded by clickbait, just idiots.
You let Smithy down.
Just when you get a bit of charm and you get a bit of warmth, great people, you just treat them with a bit of respect. And Damo's taking notes, going, how do you get that sort of rapport going? How do you actually? It's thing called friendship.
I think you brought Rowan down with you then, Daz.
When you start an interview, when you start an interview and you go with the old Dorothy Dixer, you asked 6 in a row, and that was the end of the chat.
Mate, the audience loved it. People out there love it. I think this might be a regular.
Chief's going to reconsider his decision to resume
Well, you
working
go-
on the
we
Friday
go
show.
One-on-one with another Bulldogs great. We might turn this into a regular segment.
I don't. The judge's first attempt last year was better than that.
I don't even know what are we doing? Are we on air?
He didn't even know who was interviewing.
He couldn't talk.
Yeah, he's a star, Rowan Smith.
What a
He was-
ripper. That was a magical moment
yes.
of radio.
I have to be honest with you, Howie, as team skipper, I need to talk to you about this because if that becomes a regular feature, I will become an irregular feature on this Friday night.
And you know what? That may be a positive. That's just what the Twitter feedback's lighting up.
Two big boys are really starting to clash
Yeah,
in
they
here,
are,
the
aren't they?
Chief and
Yeah.
the Duke.
Damo,
some
you're the
positive
voice of
stuff
reason.
coming through.
If push comes to shove, who are you voting for? Keep Chief or keep Daz?
Ship off, Chief.
Who you going for, Damo?
Would you rather those run of the mill, straight up and down, line and length interviews, or a little bit of looseness?
I go way back with Chief. I think Chief's been a good addition to
Okay,
us.
so you're going Chief. What about you, Brownie?
Fair enough.
Chief or Daz?
I'm not choosing Howard. I'm not choosing.
No,
I
you
love
have
them
to.
both.
They're both on the wall, Brainy.
I
They're
hang
both
out
on the
with
wall.
Das at Christmas. We have a Bulldogs, and I play tennis with the Chief. I can't split them.
Okay, that was
Howie,
brought to you.
They're both on the wall. Who are you taking?
Oh, I grew up as a Hawthorn supporter. I idolise the man as
See you, Das.
Das not going to look him for what I'm saying.
Leroy.
He's nowhere near it.
Leroy
Leroy.
is a tiebreaker.
Leroy's-
Leroy's
We'll get Snorkel in.
I'll be happy to leave.
That was brought to you by Bob Jane Team Arts. Great tyre and wheel deals for safer driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. Our man Nath always comes in. We've got a few minutes here before we get moving on with the show. Always comes in very up about crypto. And I always say, how's the cryptos this week? And I noticed as he walked in, he was dragging his lower
actually
lip
hasn't
on the ground.
spoken for
No, Nath,
first
give
hour and a
us a crypto update for the
It's fair to say it's
Brown
been a good
portfolio.
run since August, Howard.
Yes.
It's just gone up and up and up,
Yes.
and to the point of about 480%. So you expect it to keep going up. Sunday, I went to the football and I drove from the Sunday Footy show to you. And while I was calling the football, there was just these massive red candles coming down on my phone. I'm trying to watch it, trying to call the game, and it was just a bloodbath. And it has been the best part of 72 hours. I've watched all this money just drain out of my crypto account. It's not actually in my account. It's in crypto, as you know.
Yes.
But yeah, it hasn't been great. But the great term in crypto is HODL, H-O-D-L, where one young man in one of the original chat groups of crypto tried to write hold. And he said, one of these bloodbath, hold. But it's now become synonymous with crypto that he spelt it the wrong way, H-O-D-L. So now we HODL, Howard. And that is what we're doing at the moment. And it will bounce back.
Have you told Christina?
Absolutely not. She thinks I put about 5,000 in it like 3 years ago. She's got no idea. But the end result will be healthy,
So
Howard.
this is on the back of Joe Biden, the US president, saying that he's going to tax it at 43%. Is that the
46%, I
46%?
think, for capital gains tax, which we've had in this country for a long, long, long time. So the market has gone haywire, Howard, and set a couple of stop losses, a few hits. So happy with that. And now just you got to buy the dip.
You don't see this,
have to buy
Howie,
the dip.
because you're on the front row when you call the games. Big Brownie being the special comms up the back. His phone is open on the fluctuations of the stock exchange.
No, it's funny you say that, Damo, because he was calling with me on Sunday, and he paid less attention to the game than Wayne Schwass in his heyday, who was the king of Instagram when he was calling footy. Oh, had no unbelievable ability to send posts on Instagram while he was calling. Well, Nate
could be crypto, or he could. Like, what was he watching last year? An iguana getting eaten by a crocodile or something?
No, it was a monkey, wasn't it?
We're in the entertainment business. We are in the entertainment business.
Not to entertain yourself, Nate.
Like your interview with Rowan Smith.
Did Duck miss a goal as a special comms recently as well?
Yes. Duck tends to wander off any time after the 7-minute mark. It takes me
Duck
back
doesn't bring a pen in. Like, doesn't bring anything. No notes, no nothing. Not even a pen to write something down. Duck just goes, I'm the greatest player that ever played. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to give whatever comes into my head at any given point.
So if you used to host that show with Duck back in the day, and it was a long session over 3 or 4 hours.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Saturday Central.
What was Duck's preparation like for that?
Well, we used to watch a match and then get together at the end. He'd go home and have a nap, or he'd go to the pub with his mates and then come back and say, oh, yeah, didn't really watch it, but I'll fudge it.
Brownie reckons he just turns out without a pen and say I'm the greatest player of all time. Doesn't matter. Quick break here. Plenty to come for McDonald's Marine Hot Water. Triple M rocks football.
The Triple M Footy Preview. You can listen to Triple M Footy wherever you are.